now watching Wayback Wednesday, sponsored by Davenport Auto Park, the ride of your life. And also sponsored by Flores Glass, serving the area since 1977 with residential and commercial work.
Good evening, friends, and welcome. It's another episode of Wayback Wednesday. I'm Randy Adcock. So glad you could be with us on this very, very hot evening. On the way to the studio tonight, I came past one of those electronic digital signs that has the marketing message, and of course, at the bottom is the date, time, and temperature. And at 7:34, that thing said it was 102 degrees. And if that's the air temperature, I hate to think what the heat index is. It's got to be approaching 110. It's still steamy out there. So wherever you are, I hope you're inside some air conditioning, staying cool. And you know, I had a flashback today, and I was thinking about how hot. I saw on the news supposed to hit 112 heat index somewhere around here today or tomorrow one. It may have hit that today. It's been awfully hot. But I happen to have a flashback to, as a child, my grandparents who lived on Spring Street. I don't think ever had air conditioning. I never remember seeing air conditioning in their home. But I do remember very distinctly there being a window fan in their bedroom. And I'm sure you remember these that had a toggle switch that would blow the air out or suck the air in, depending on the position of the toggle switch. And what they would do is, it was an old shotgun house. You come in the front door, you had the living room there, the next room was the bedroom, the next room was the kitchen, and out the back door. But anyway, they'd put the fan in the bedroom window, and when it was really, really hot outside, they'd have it so it would suck the air out of the bedroom and push it outside. And it had a screen door in the front porch, of course, and my grandmother's chair was right there by the front door. So the cool air would come in through the, I say cool, it was 100 degrees in the summertime, so it wasn't very cool. But it would give a little breeze coming across her chair. The other side of the room, my grandfather's chair, and it'd blow past him and then through the doorway into the bedroom and circulate back out through the fan. And there was a continual circulating blast of air there. And so I thought about, there was people who lived, both of them. My grandfather was 86 when he passed, when my grandmother was in her late 60s. And I don't think either one of them ever, other than when they would visit someone who had air conditioning, they never had it themselves in their home. And that was, 50 years ago, it was pretty commonplace. A lot of folks didn't have air conditioning. And sadly, there's still a lot of folks today who don't have air conditioning. So I read a post on Facebook a couple days ago. Someone here locally was collecting fans for folks who do not have air conditioning and are suffering through this intense heat spell we're having right now. So I thought I would just throw that out tonight and mention it. If you've got an old fan that you're not using, maybe one stuck in the back bedroom closet, or maybe one stuck up in the attic or in your garage or somewhere in your way, and you're just not using it, would like to get rid of it, if you'll let me know, I'll make arrangements to come by and pick it up and get it into the hands of these folks who are running this little fan drive, and maybe we can help cool some folks down who are doing this oppressive heat. It's just oppressive right now. It's terrible out there. I'm going to be there for a few days, I'm afraid. Today is July the 6th, so if you're watching on any other day, you're watching a rerun, but today, Wednesday, July the 6th, we are live. Thanks again for joining us tonight. We've talked a lot over the last couple of years about businesses in Rocky Mount and those that have withstood the test of time, and we've got some that have been in business for over 100 years in Rocky Mount and still going strong. But sad, there's a lot who have not made that transition for one reason or another. And so I got thinking about earlier this week, in fact, about a business that I remember, that I don't remember being in business very long, but I haven't heard anything about them in a number of years, and I don't think we've mentioned them on this show and all the talk that we've covered over the last few years about business in Rocky Mount. So we're going to get to that in a moment, but I want to kind of go back in history and just show you a couple things that I was able to pull from a combination of old city directories, old Rocky Mount Telegram articles, and just kind of combine a little history for you. So we're going to go back, we're going to start off in 1936. So Lee, if you would put up the first little listing here, and what this is a listing there at the bottom of your screen, you can see it, from the 1936 city directory. And I screen captured that one little yellow line you see across the bottom of your screen there, and it just says Oldsmobile Sales and Service, business 202 to 204 Rose Street. And the phone number was 37, I think it was. It might have been one or two digits after that. But anyway, That was in 1936, and that was that we got a call coming in already? That's something else. Okay, I'm sorry. But the listing there was, it jumped out at me because of two things. Number one, the 202-204 Rose Street, and number two, the fact that it said Oldsmobile. And you know, if you remember, we've been talking about car dealerships in and around that Rose Street, south of Washington Street, you know, from Allen Mims Ford to Rose Buick, to Chipley had a dealership over there, Packard dealership. And so I was not, for some reason that kind of jumped out at me that I did not recall an Oldsmobile dealership being in that neck of the woods, so to speak. So I started doing some digging. So keep this date in mind. This is from the 1936 Rocky Mount City Directory, and at 202 to 204 Rose Street, this listing was a single line listing in the city directory that said Oldsmobile Sales and Service. It wasn't a business name listed, it's just this one line as you see it right here. Okay, so fast forward a little bit to 1937, and an article, or an ad I should say, a little short blip of an ad appeared in the Rocky Mount Telegram, March of 1937. So Lee, if you could put up picture number 2. And this is just a little advertisement, is all this is, that appeared in the Telegram in March of 1937. And Lee, can we get that up on the screen there? Okay, he's resized it for us. It's kind of small, and I had to blow it up, and so it may have, there you go. And I'll read this here. I know it's a little blurry on the screen there, but what it says is, will Mrs. Bennett Bradley of 413 South Church Street call at the Evening Telegram office to get her guest ticket to the Bobby Breen, B-R-E-E-N, Bobby Breen in Rainbow on the River. I'm assuming this is a movie with Charles Butterworth and May Robinson at the Carolina Theater. Now, I want to point out the address here, 413 South Church Street, okay? In 1937, March of 1937, 413 South Church Street was the residence of Mrs. Bennett Bradley. And apparently she entered a contest at the Carolina Theater and won tickets to go see this movie called The Rainbow on the River. And so this was the Carolina Theater's method of reaching out to her, letting her know she had won a ticket and to please come by the theater and pick up her ticket to see this free movie. Okay, March of 1937. Fast forward now to August of 1937, and there was a little short listing in the Rocky Mount Telegram that was just, it was when property is bought and sold, you'll notice a lot of times when deeds are transferred and so forth, there'll be a whole list of them in the Telegram. And so this one line listing from August of 1937, and it says, go ahead and put that on the screen if you would, number 3 there. And as you, there on the bottom screen it says, Gravely, LL and JOW, Lot 1, 413 South Church Street, $42.73. So in March of 1937, Mrs. Bennett Bradley was living at 413 South Church Street. By August of 1937, the lot where that house was had been sold, and it sold for $42.73. Quite a bargain, I would imagine. Okay, now the next thing that I found was in September of 1938. Okay, and you followed the pattern here. I was researching that address, and the 202-204 Rose Street, I'll tie into it here. Bear with me. We'll get there in a minute. But right now we're looking at 413 South Church Street. In 37, it was a residence. In 38, the lot got sold. And Lee, if you put up picture number 4, in 1938, a car dealership opened there. And there you go, and you see on your screen there, announcing, this was in September 24th, in fact, of 1938, announcing the opening and readiness for business of Hoggard Van Motors at 413 South Church Street. And there's a message there from Mr. Lyman B. Hoggard. It says, I wish to take this opportunity to thank you for your expressions of loyalty as we enter the automobile field. I have grown up with the automobile business and want to assure you that in our new location we will have every modern facility for servicing any make or model car. I have the interests of Rocky Mount at heart. I believe in Rocky Mount and I want to see it grow and prosper and therefore I pledge my support to every community movement that will build a larger and better Rocky Mount, signed Lyman B. Hoggard. Okay, so September 24, 1938, literally about a year after Ms. Bradley was living at 413, the house was gone, a car dealership appeared there, and I have looked and strained my eyes trying to figure out what this picture is at the very top. It looks about as bad. I actually blew it up for my own purposes trying to see what that was. And I'm guessing it was a shot taken somewhere inside a dealership. You got to remember, photography in 1938 was, fair at best, and when you reproduce it in a telegram environment, it didn't come across very well. So I don't know what the picture itself is, but the point is, in 1938, Hoggard Van Motors opened up their dealership at 413 South Church Street. Now, I was a little curious as to where 413 South Church Street was, and so I got on the internet, of course, and went to Google, punched in the address, and just to kind of give you a ballpark idea of where that was, if you remember where the old fire department is on the corner of Hammond Street there and Church Street, kind of catacombs across from that on the same side of the street as the train station in that same general area, in fact, is where 413 South Church Street was at that time. It's just a manicured lawn there now. And so, but that was where Hoggard Van Motors was in 1938. They opened up for business there in 1938. And it was two partners, Mr. Hoggard and Mr. John Van were partners in the business. Okay, so fast forward a little bit to just a little bit forward. That was in September. The very next month, you can go ahead and put up item number 5 there if you would, Lee. And this was a neat ad here because you see on the right-hand side of your screen there, it says, "Yes, we've joined Hudson." And it's an ad that appeared for Hoggard Van Motors again, and of course, same address, 413 South Church Street. And it makes a comment here about, "Yes, we've joined Hudson, and we invite all our friends in Rocky Mount to a special preview of the new 1939 Hudsons." So this ad appeared October 29th of 1938, and Hoggard Van Motors was, of course, at this point also a Hudson dealer. So we've now been in business a couple years there at this location, and in 1939, item number 7 there, Lee, item number 6, I got ahead of myself. Item number 6 is in November, excuse me, 38, and this was an ad that appeared in the Hoggard Van Motors, 413 South Church Street, and it's advertising in 1939 models of Oldsmobile. Okay, that's what I was trying to get to, Oldsmobile. So if you remember going back a little bit to the first thing we showed you, in 1936 at 202 Rose Street, there was an Oldsmobile sales and service listed in the Rocky Mount City directory. No dealership listed. But by 1938, Hoggard Van Motors was the new Oldsmobile dealer for Rocky Mount. So, and of course, they sold other cars too. The Hudson, for example, was also in their offering. But they were the official Oldsmobile dealer in 1938. So now, if we fast forward just a little bit and go to 1939, September of 1939, at 413 South Church Street, Hoggard Van Motors is still in operation there. And in 1939, September, late in the year, and this is usually the case in the late fall of the year, the new car models come out. You see there on your screen. In 1939, the new 1940 model Oldsmobiles were arriving to the dealership. So you could go out to your local car dealer in September of 39 and start looking at some of the new model cars from 1940. And again, you see the dealership address listed there is 413 South Church Street. Okay, so now, fast forward a pretty good jump. Well, we've got one more before we fast forward out of this area right here. Item number 8, Lee, if you would. This is from October of 1939. And this is one of the few pictures that I could find, and it's not a great picture, but right there in the middle of your screen, you see Ray Bandy, and they're listed as 202 Rose Street. So if you remember, the very first thing we talked about was that one-line listing in the city directory that listed Oldsmobile sales and service at 202 Rose Street. Now that was in 1936. Here 3 years later, 1939, Ray Bandy Plymouth DeSoto is listed as being at 202 Rose Street, and there's no mention of Oldsmobile. Of course, they are a Plymouth dealer and DeSoto dealer, and of course in later years they became a Dodge dealer as well. But this picture of this building is the only one I've ever seen of that part of Rose Street when there was a car dealership there. I'd love to find the original of this. There's probably out there somewhere. 1939, I'm guessing Bugs Barringer took this picture. I don't think Charlie Killebrew was in Rocky Mount at that time, but in any case, that's one of the rare pictures that I've run across that actually shows the car dealership that was located at 202 Rose Street in Rocky Mount. Okay, so that was picture number 8, Lee. Picture number 9, let's fast forward now all the way to 1974. And in 1974, Mr. Van had bought out Mr. Hoggard, and he was retiring, and he sold his interest in the dealership to a young fellow by the name of Bernice Smith. Okay? Bernice Smith was actually not from Rocky Mount originally. He came here from, I believe it was Smithfield. But in any case, he actually bought the Oldsmobile dealership from Mr. Van, who had in earlier years purchased Mr. Hoggard's share. And so there you go, you see on your screen there is the actual image and the article that appeared. I'm going to read a little bit of this, not the whole thing. It says, O. Bernice Smith has bought the local Oldsmobile dealership from J.A. Van Jr. and is now operating under the name O.B. Smith Oldsmobile Incorporated. The dealership remains at 413 South Church Street, the same location it has had for 36 years. In addition to Oldsmobiles, the firm is a dealer for the foreign make Subaru. J.A. Van Jr., who is now retiring with dissolution of John Van Motors Incorporated, has been in the automobile business since 1938 when Hoggard Van Motors opened. Van bought out Lyman Hoggard's interest in 1956. Van said he's going to take it easy for a while now, and he's been retired from the business. New owner Bernice Smith said 1975 Oldsmobile models will be on display Friday. By the way, this was September of 1974. And Mr. Smith says the new 1975 models will be on display Friday at the dealership. And it goes on to talk about, and this is something I was not aware of about O.B. Smith. It said he has been in the auto business for a long time. I said Smithfield earlier. He was originally from Durham. He moved to Rocky Mount after service in the U.S. Navy in World War II when his father obtained a Lincoln Mercury dealership here. He attended the University of North Carolina. When the Lincoln Mercury dealership was sold to Allen Mims in 1954, Smith operated it for Allen Mims until 1962 when he bought an interest in the Volkswagen dealership here with J.C. Fryer. Smith sold his interest in that firm on April 1st of this year. So O.B. Smith, in addition to, of course, at this time opening up O.B. Smith Oldsmobile, he had been involved with the Lincoln Mercury dealership with Allen Mims. He had been involved with the Volkswagen dealership with J.C. Fryer. And of course now he had his own dealership. And he had, a pretty good run at it. For better part of, almost 40 years, this had been the local dealership for Oldsmobile. And then, like I say, he got it in 1974. And if we could leave the very next picture, item number 10, is 1977, October the 5th. And this is the picture, the only picture I have found yet of the O.B. Smith Oldsmobile dealership out on 301, kind of across from Golden East Mall. I mean, not Golden East, but a little bit further south from Golden East Mall. And there's an article here, and I won't read the whole thing. I wanted to read some of it, though. It said, O.B. Smith Oldsmobile, Inc. is beginning its third year in a new location and in new facilities. Smith bought the dealership in 1974 from J.A. Van Jr., who had operated it for 36 years on South Church Street. Seeing the need for modern, expanded facilities, Smith purchased a plot of land on US 301 for the new location. The 12,000 square foot structure is on 3 acres of land and offers complete sales and service for new and used cars. It is designed for sales and services for the customer's convenience and efficiency, Smith said. Originally from Durham again, Smith moved to Rockham after World War II, and he goes on to tell a little bit about his history with the other car dealerships around Rocky Mount. So this was a dealership that O.B. Smith opened on 301, and you know, I was not aware that O.B. Smith had actually been at 413 South Church Street. My only recollection of that business was on Highway 301, so it came as a bit of a surprise to me when I realized that he had actually bought out John Van Motors and ran the business there for about 3 years at 413 South Church Street before opening up his own dealership on 301 in 1977. Okay, I just realized it's time for our first commercial break, so Lee, bring it back to me. We're going to take a quick break, folks, and get a word from our sponsors. So if you need to get a bathroom break or get a little snacky poo, go take care of that business now, and we'll be right back in just a minute with more Wayback Wednesday.
I'm Daniel Moss, owner of Cornerstone Funeral Home, and I'd like to invite you and your family to give our family an opportunity to serve you in your time of need. And we offer a full line of funeral services, everything from visitations to graveside services to cremations on site with a live crematory, as well as a banquet hall to meet the catering needs of our families that we serve. We offer catering service. We offer refreshments prior to visitations and services of our family. And we want to invite you to come and experience the difference here at Cornerstone Funeral Home.
Hello, my name is Gus Tullis of Gus Tullis Insurance, and I've been helping people with their insurance needs for well over 20 years. If you're turning 65 or you're currently on Medicare, I can help you make the best decision for the Medicare plan that will suit your needs. Don't wait. Call me today. I'll answer any question you have. 252-937-6913. Looking forward to hearing from you.
When faced with special care needs for elderly or disabled loved ones, families want compassionate, comforting care. That's Tender Touch Home Care Services' goal, providing the level of care we would expect for our own. With over 10 years of home care excellence, Tender Touch provides an array of services that keeps your loved one at home. From personal care, light housekeeping, errands, and meal preparation, to our private duty care program, which combines all of our home care offerings in one package.
Tender Touch Home Care Services, where your needs are our concern.
And we're back. Folks, if you're just tuning in, you're watching Wayback Wednesday. I'm Randy Adcox. We're just talking about a car dealership that I remember on 301 O.B. Smith Oldsmobile, and I never realized that it was ever anywhere other than Highway 301. And so, you know, the other thing was, honestly, and I'm old enough that I should remember this, but I cannot for the life of me place the building on 413 South Church Street where it used to be, where John Van Hoggard Motors was, and of course O.B. Smith Oldsmobile when he first bought the dealership. When I went back and looked at the Google listing today for 413 South Church and saw where it was, I know I have been by there many times as a small child and really should. I felt like I should remember that building, but for the life of me I just couldn't place it. So I'd be very interested in seeing if anyone's got a picture of either John Van Motors or Hoggard Van Motors or O.B. Smith Oldsmobile when they were on 413 South Church Street. I would love to see a picture of that. I'd love to get a copy of it, in fact. I'm going to do some more digging and see if I can find a picture of the building itself, but nothing that I've got, that at least that I'm aware of. I've gone back to some old pictures and I couldn't find a picture of that building, but I'd love to have one. So anyway, if anyone knows about a picture of 413 South Church Street when it was operating as a car dealership, please let me know. 407-1111 is the number. Love to hear from you tonight. Feel free to call at any time. I mentioned that in 1974, Bernie Smith bought out the Oldsmobile dealership. Oh, we got a call. Let's get this call. Hello, caller. You on the air?
All right, yes. you're talking about that Oldsmobile dealership up there near the train station.
Yes, sir.
There's some pictures of that place of business, or maybe interior or whatever, and a Rocky Mountain high knocker in the 1950s years. Car dealerships predominantly had advertisements in the local high school annuals.
Okay, that's a good idea. You're exactly right. I had forgotten that, but that's a great source to go look, and I sure will do that.
All right.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Okay, so that's a great idea. And I don't have any old high knockers myself, but if any of you have got a high knocker from the 1950s, even into the 60s, because like I said, up until 1974, there was a dealership operating there. And so, actually, up until 1977, because that's when they moved out to 301. So from 38 to 77, there was a dealership there at 413 South Church Street. So high knockers are indeed a good place to look for pictures. So if you've got an old high knocker and you got a minute, glance through it, see if you can find a picture of either Hoggard Van Motors or O.B. Smith Olds. And if you do, let me know. I'd appreciate it. Okay. So I mentioned that 74, Bernice Smith bought the dealership, the Oldsmobile dealership from John Van, and ran it there for a couple of years, and then moved out to 301, bought a piece of land, built a nice big building out there, beautiful new dealership, and ran it out there until 1979, as it turns out. I didn't realize it was that short-lived. But for 5 years, he had the local dealership, the local Oldsmobile dealership, I should say. But in 1979, for whatever reason, he decided to get out of it, I guess, and he sold it. And the person who bought it was none other than Don Armstrong. Many of you remember Don. And this ad appeared in the Rocky Mount Telegram, March of 1979, and it says, Don Armstrong, Oldsmobile Datsun, formerly O.B. Smith Oldsmobile Agency, and Don's Datsun, Inc. One agency with two great cars for you. Same Don's Datsun Incorporated management, sales, and service team, along with O.B. Smith fine sales and service groups to serve you. New location, formerly O.B. Smith Oldsmobile. So in March of 1979, O.B. Smith, or Bernice Smith, sold the dealership to Don Armstrong. And for those that may not remember, the Datsun dealership, of course, later became Nissan. And so Gabe Rose now got the Nissan dealership, of course. But, and I forgot, I didn't go far enough in researching to see how long Don Armstrong had it. Don actually had a dealership, came here from Gastonia, as I recall, and had a dealership in Gastonia. And so he may have gone back there. But in any case, this appeared in 1979 in March. Also in March of 1979, the next ad appeared. Go ahead and put that on the screen if you would, Lee. We're trying something different tonight too, folks. If you'll notice on the right-hand side of your screen, Lee is putting up the pictures that he would normally put in place of my picture. So we're just trying to see how it works out. With sometimes contrasting pictures, black and white especially, we can get away with doing this. Other times it wouldn't work so well, but we're just trying to see how it worked tonight. So Lee, if you would, go ahead and put up the next one, picture number 12. There you go. This is just the announcement. It says, announcing Don's Datsun is now Don Armstrong Oldsmobile Datsun. One dealer with two great cars, and of course it says now located in one new and modern facility to serve you, again, formerly O.B. Smith Oldsmobile. And this appeared March the 10th of 7. I think the other one was March the 3rd. This was March the 10th. So I like the motto at the very bottom, our goal, no unhappy owners. So that's a worthwhile goal there for any business, I think. So anyway, that was 1979, and as I said, I'm not exactly sure how long Don Armstrong had the dealership out there. And I know at some point he did get out of it, and of course, like I said, Datsun went the way of the horse and buggy, and Nissan came in, and so, well, I guess they said to change the name, but in any case. All right, so I lost my track where we were, Lee. That was number 12, right? Okay, thank you. Last week we showed you some pictures, if you remember, of some old grocery stores around Rocky Mount. And just kind of give you a recap, somebody had I guess it was a small instamatic camera, and they rode around their car and took pictures of businesses around Rocky Mount. And it was the package that I was given to go through had, golly, must have been 350, 400 pictures in there. And some of them, the business or store or whatever was identified on the back of the picture, others it was not. So anyway, I offered to scan some of those pictures and save them. I think I ended up with about 150 pictures. And so I picked another, 12, 15 or so tonight to share with you. And, we use a term often during this show about areas of commerce. You heard me say that. And these little country stores and little community stores were certainly an integral part of these neighborhoods. Not only do they provide a place to pick up knickknacks, snacks, cigarette strains, so forth, but in many cases they were that community's source for groceries and food. A lot of folks didn't have the luxury of jumping in the car and driving to the Winn-Dixie or A&P for groceries, and so a lot of folks would utilize these little neighborhood grocery stores as their grocer, and that's why a lot of them refer to as so-and-so grocery and supermarket or whatever. So anyway, we've got a few of these tonight we're going to go through. I'd love to hear from you if you recognize any of these businesses or these stores. Maybe you frequent them as a child or even as a young adult. Maybe you worked in some of them. Maybe some of your family owned some of them. But let me hear from you. 407-1111 is the number. And we're starting off, you see there, with George K. Taylor. By the way, all these pictures were taken in the same roughly 2-week time frame, I think, because on the back of the picture, every one of them said 1988. Most of them said June or July. And so, as I said, someone was riding around with a camera and just took pictures, and I'm glad they did. It was great to preserve, because a lot of these buildings are gone now and long been destroyed and demolished. But this is a good kind of a snapshot of how things were in 1988, some 30-odd years ago. So this first one here, this is George K. Taylor Grocery. And I don't know where this was. Maybe someone remembers, but I can't say I remember it. But anyway, George K. Taylor from 1988. Okay, Lee. This next one was actually on the back of the photograph. It actually had the name of the store and the location. And the name of the store was Golf's Store. And the location was listed as Noble's Mill Pond Road. So, Lee, if we can throw that one up. Again, this is from 1988. There you go. There's no sign on the building, so whoever identified this must have done it from memory. But as I said, somebody's on the back of the photograph, someone had written in ink what they were. Most of them were not identified, but this happened to be one that was. So I honestly don't recall this store at all. I don't know that I've been on this road more than once or twice in my life, but maybe some of you remember it. But it's referred to as Golf's Store, G-O-L-F, Golf Store, Noble's Mill Pond Road. Okay, Lee, let's go to the next one then. This one, grocery store in 1960. Oh, never mind. Next one is, there you go, Gorganis. I had made a note here. This is Gorganis Brothers Oakwood Shopping Center. My aunt and Uncle Billy Donaldson and Isabel. Oh, we got a call. Let's get this call. Hello, caller. You on the air?
All right, the golf store was out there down the road from West Edgecombe School on Noble's Mill Pond Road. It was on the right, and it was Goff, G-O-F-F.
Okay.
It's been gone a long time.
I'm glad you said that, because everyone who identified it had put G-O-L-F, but it was G-O-F-F.
I think the man that run that place, I think his name was Ernest Goff. I'm not sure. All right. Okay, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So, Gorganis Brothers, there you go. There's the golf store right there. So anyway, Gorganis store over in the Oakwood Shopping Center. My aunt and Uncle Billy Donaldson and Isabel Donaldson lived over on Rosewood Avenue when I was a child. And so I remember walking. I'd go visit them. My parents and I, and my brother and sister would go visit them. And a lot of times we would walk from their house on Rosewood Avenue over here to this little mini shopping center here and get either Coke or a pack of nabs or something to snack on. And so, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe the man's name that run it was Joe Gorganis, because I remember my cousin would say, "We're going to Joe's. Come on, let's go to Joe's." And so we'd always end up here, but they didn't refer to it as Gorganis, but they referred to it as Joe. So I guess Joe might have been one of the brothers. I don't know. But anyway, this Oakwood Shopping Center, and again, this is 1988. So, okay, Lee. So let's go to the next one then. This is one I do remember here. And at one time, oh, we got another call. Let's get this caller. Hello, caller, you on the air.
All right, the two brothers that run Gorganis' grocery store was Jack and Marvin Gorganis.
Jack and Marvin. Well, I wonder where they got Joe from.
They had another brother named Herbert that had had a grocery store over there kind of behind Senior High School on Pine Street.
That's right. That's right.
They were three brothers.
Well, now I'm wondering if maybe the J they were referring to was not the Gerganis, but another store in that shopping center. Maybe that's what they were referring to, was another store, not the Gerganis Brothers store.
There was a grocery store over there on Long Avenue, along in there where Brain is now. China Street. It was Joe Briley's grocery store.
Okay.
It was a little bitty neighborhood market.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay, buddy. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to do some investigating to find out where the Joe came from. Because, like I said, and the more I think about it, I'm not sure now that it was Gerganis grocery store that we were actually going to. I just remember going with my cousins and being told we were going to Joe's. So anyway, and it reminded me of when I was a kid, we would always say we're going to Bobby's, and that was in reference to Bobby Mears' store over there at the corner of Sunset and Forest Hill Avenue. We would very seldom say we're going to English Supermarket. We'd always say we're going to Bobby's or Bobby Mears or whatever. So, and there's a storm brewing outside the studio. I don't know if you heard, there's a big thunderclap just popped out there in the flash outside the window there too. So anyway, if you're outside, get indoors. All right, so this is Holloman's, obviously. I'm not sure which one this is. At one time there was, golly, I think 6 or 7 stores Mr. Holloman had. I forgot the exact number, but this was one of them. And if memory serves me, I believe this one may have been out there on maybe Highway 97. Maybe someone knows. Let's get this call. Hello, caller, you on the air?
Randy.
Yes.
I looked in my yearbook for 59 and 60.
Yes, ma'am.
And John Van Motors is listed at 413 South Church Street.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's what it was. Up until Bernice Smith bought it in 1974. But you're right. At that time, it was John Van Motors.
Okay, 59 and 60.
Yes, ma'am. Is there a picture there of the building?
Yeah. Now, I think it's a car. Let me see. I just shut my book up. I don't remember. No,
just a car.
Picture, like a car. It says John Van Motors, Oldsmobile Sales and Services.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
All righty.
Bye-bye. Okay. All right. So I'll tell you what, Lee. Let's go ahead and into the next one. I think there was 2 back to back that both of them were identified as Holloman's store. And so I'm not sure where that last one was. It may have been out there on 97 at the Cool Spring Road. There was one out there at one time too. And then there was one, of course, out on Gold Rock Road out there near, was it Fox Run or whatever? That's not Fox Run. Anyway, Gold Rock Road. There was a Holloman's out there. It's now something else. But go ahead and put that one up if you would, Lee, the second Holloman store. Because I believe, I'm not certain about this. One of these was Holloman's on Highway 97, and the other one I think might have been out there on Gold Rock Road, but I'm not sure which is which, honestly. But anyway, as I said, I think Mr. Holloman at one time had, golly, 5 or 6 stores all over Rocky Mount. So anyway, and again, these are all from 1988, so if that helps identify any of them for any of you. Okay, so this next one, Huck's Supermarket, there you go. Chitlin capital of the world. I think I went in this store one time many, many years ago, just briefly. I just kind of want to take a peek around in there. Somehow or another, it's distant, but I'm related to the Huckses on my grandfather's side of the family. And like I said, it's very, very distant. I don't remember exactly how it breaks down, but I've got a great aunt. She's passed away now, but her last name was Hucks. And I remember her telling me sometime that she was somehow related to the Hucks that ran this place here. But for a long time, it had a little plaque or something that said Chitlin capital of the world. And sold a bunch of chitlins out of that place for a long time. Okay, I'll tell you what, Lee, it's time for our next commercial break. Bring it back to me. Folks, when we come back, I've got a few more of these to show you. Like I said, these were all taken at the same time between June, July, August of '88, I think it was. And so just a neat look back at some of these stores that are no longer with us. So when we come back from the break, we'll show you some more of those. We'll take your phone calls. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Wayback Wednesday.
I'm Daniel Moss, owner of Cornerstone Funeral Home, and I'd like to invite you and your family to give our family an opportunity to serve you in your time of need. And we offer a full line of funeral services, everything from visitations to graveside services to cremations on site with a live crematory, as well as a banquet hall to meet the catering needs of our families that we serve. We offer catering service, we offer refreshments prior to visitations and services of our family, and we want to invite you to come and experience the difference here at Cornerstone Funeral Home.
When faced with special care needs for elderly or disabled loved ones, families want compassionate, comforting care. That's Tender Touch Home Care Services' goal, providing the level of care we would expect for our own. With over 10 years of home care excellence, Tender Touch provides an array of services that keeps your loved one at home. From personal care, light housekeeping, errands, and meal preparation, to our private duty care program, which combines all of our home care offerings in one package.
Tender Touch Home Care Services, where your needs are our concern.
And we're back. Folks, it's raining out here. I can hear it on the outside the studio. It's pouring down out there. So I know it's awful dry, so maybe you're getting some rain where you are. We sure need it around my house, so I hope we're getting some too. But it's raining here at the station out here by Wesleyan College. Thunder and lightning a minute ago too. So we're getting some much needed rain. We're able to cool things down. Sure needs to. Alrighty, so we were looking at old grocery stores, and as I said, I'm not exactly sure how these came to be. I know there was a stack of them. And I've got other pictures to show too. We'll break these up into a few each week, but it's some other businesses and places that are no longer in Rocky Mount, or no longer even in existence. So we'll get to some of those in the coming weeks. But for now, we'll go ahead and go through these. If you have any memories about any of this, feel free to give us a call. 407-1111 is the number. I'd love to hear from you. And the next one kind of threw me for a loop because I never knew of but one Jack's Grocery anywhere around Rocky Mount. And the one I'm aware of was one out there at the corner of Highway 97 and Halifax Road. Jack Pridgeon ran that for a number of years. I think someone in his family may still have the business. But this next store was actually identified on the back of it in someone's handwriting as Jack's Grocery Store. But it was identified as being Highway 64 East. So is that that's the one that says Jack's Grocery Store, Lee? Yeah. Okay. I do not recollect this building, and by any means, I have no idea where this is. Somewhere between Rocky Mount and Tarboro, apparently, in 1988, anyway it was. My guess is it's probably been demolished by now. It appears to have been in bad shape even in 1988. But it was identified on the back of the photograph as being Jack's Grocery, Highway 64 East. So, like I said, there may have been a second Jack's Grocery that I was not aware of. I for the life of me can't imagine that Jack Pridgeon that run, was it Pridgeon? I think it was Pridgeon, that run the one out there on the corner of Halifax Road and Highway 97. It's been there as long as I can remember, so it doesn't make sense to me that he would have moved from this location here, as you're seeing now, over to where his store is currently. But in any case, that's what it was identified on the back of the photograph as Jack's Grocery. So, okay, let's go to the next one then. This one I do remember. This was a Jiffy Mart, of course. And those that used to go to the Tower Drive-In will remember this was right across the road from the Tower Drive-In on the corner of Meadowbrook Road and, well, I guess it's Raleigh Road out that way now. But in any case, this was you know, for many, many years, this store operated a lot of different stores in here, a lot of different things in there. Operated in the side of the store to the right-hand side. And in fact, I ran across, I'm not sure if I included it or not, I don't think I did. I ran across a photograph that appeared in the Rocky Mount Telegram sometime in the 1960s, 68 or 69 I think it was, of a girl in a bikini laying in a tanning bed that was in the Jiffy Mart. And so I should have included that in this grouping here. I'm sorry I didn't, but in any case, they had tanning beds in there at one time. I want to say there was some kind of gift shop or souvenir shop or something over there on the right-hand side too. But of course, it's the Jiffy Mart. Oh, wait a minute, I did include it. Let's go to the next one, Lee. I just realized I did include it, the ad with the girl in the bikini. It's kind of hard to see, but there you go. Let me get this call. Hello, caller, you on the air.
All right, that place, the Jiffy Mart was built about 1957 or 58. There at the corner of Meadowbrook Road and Tarver Highway. It was right across Meadowbrook Road from the Tower Drive-In Theater. And over the lifespan that it was there, to start with, it belonged to a man named Alton Kane and Bobby Brantley. And there was another small satellite store right beside of it for a while where they had a tanning salon.
Yeah.
It was not in the same part of the store.
So it was beside the store.
It was, well, I mean, it was a connected business with a storefront right next to it.
I got you. Well, this is the ad that I saw, if you see on your screen there now, the Jiffy Mart suntan bed. And like I said, it's not a really good picture, but this appeared in the, I think, let's see.
It caught on fire and burned to the ground.
Did it really?
Yeah, sometime, it's been a right good while now.
You know, I think I remember hearing about that. I forgot it. You just said that, but yeah, I think I remember hearing about that.
All right.
Okay, buddy. Thank you. Okay. All right. So that ad I think appeared in 1986 too. Actually, I remember now. I did a search in the Rocky Mountain Telegram to see what I could find, and this first thing that popped up was this lady in a bikini laying on a tanning bed. So anyway, all right. So let's go ahead and lead the next one. This was a store identified as Killebrew's store. Now, we mentioned a minute ago that golf store on Noble Mill Pond Road. I don't know if this is another store, but on the back of this photograph, this was also identified as being on Noble's Mill Pond Road, and it was referred to as Killebrew's store. So again, this is an area that I'm not really familiar with. I certainly have no recollection of this store at all, and I'm not even sure that whoever wrote on the back of the photograph was completely accurate in what they wrote. It's a possibility that they were just guessing and they wrote down what they thought it was. But in any case, supposedly this is Killebrew's store on Noble's Mill Pond Road. Okay, Lee, let's go to the next one if we could. And as you can see there, it's kind of hard to see, but this was identified as Looper Street Grocery. Looper Street Grocery. And I did a Google search. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this was actually later years turned into a residence, a little small home. I saw somewhere, if it was in Google or whatever, I was doing some searching, and I found this location, and it looked like it ceased being a grocery store, and someone had converted it into a little home of some sort, like a little apartment studio or whatever. But in any case, this was Looper Street Grocery in 1988, and it appears, at least in this picture, to have still been operating in 1988. Okay, Lee. The next one was the L.W. Manning store on Tarver Highway, and I seem to have a vague recollection of this one. You know, when I was right out of high school, I worked for Davis & Company Auto Parts back in what we called the shipping counter when I first started working there. And we would package up orders that the salesman would go out and get from the little country stores and convenience stores, and it was things like, you know, radiator hoses and belts, fan belts, and battery cable clamps, and cases of motor oil and transmission fluid and things like that. These little country stores would buy all that stuff from Davis Company Auto Parts in bulk, and they would sell it in their store. And so this one rings a bell with me, this L.W. Manning store. For some reason, I think I may have packaged a few boxes of supplies up from Mr. Manning's store on occasion. But we did. We shipped out, had 2 trucks at one time run all over the Nash and Edgecombe counties carrying parts of these little country stores that were purchased from Davis Company Auto Parts. So anyway, okay, Lee, let's go ahead then to the next one. This next one is identified on the back as Mac's Supermarket, and if I'm not mistaken, this is down here on South Church Street. I believe that's what the street market is identified as Church Street there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think, and it's sad to say, but I believe if this is the store I'm thinking about, I think the man that ran this store got killed in this store. I seem to recall hearing a story about a robbery that went wrong, and the man who was working or owning the store actually got killed, and I believe it's the same store. That's been a long time ago, several years ago, but I'm not positive. I could be mistaken, but I seem to recall that this may have been that same store. Okay, Lee, let's go ahead then to the next one. This is one I definitely remember here because I went by it many times. Nugent store over on Cokie Road. I had a good friend of mine when I was in high school and shortly after high school, Neil Taylor, who is now deceased. Some of you may remember Neil. But Neil lived on Long Street, grew up on Long Street, right around the corner from Nugent store. And so I would go to pick up Neil. We'd go riding around sometimes on Friday, Saturday night, and I rode past here many, many times. And there was a house that Mr. and Ms. Nugent built, as I recall, right beside the store. Beautiful home. And the story that was told about it was that it was overbuilt for the area. In other words, they spared no expense. They built this fine, beautiful home that probably, if it was in West Haven or Inglewood or another part of Rocky Mount, probably would have been worth 4, 5, 6 times what it was worth in the area it was. But they built the house, and I'm not even sure they ever moved in it, to be honest with you. I don't recall ever hear that they moved in it. But sadly, the house, just over the years of neglect, I'm not even sure the house is still there. For a long time it was empty, and then I think it was rented out for a while. I think there was a child care center maybe or something, a daycare or something in it. I want to say I remember seeing a sign out front that made a reference to maybe a hair salon or something. I know there was a couple of different people that tried to make a go of running a business in that home that was built there beside the store. And I don't know if this picture we're looking at here was during the time frame the home was built, but just looking at the right-hand side of the picture, it looks to be somewhat of a manicured lawn there. So I'm thinking this was after they built that house right beside the store there. But if you ever rode by and saw that house, you'll know what I'm talking about. It was a really, really nice home. As I said, Mr. and Mrs. Nugent spared no expense in building that house, and it was a fine, fine home. It's just a shame that I don't know if either one of them ever lived in it. I really don't recall ever hearing that they lived in that house at all. But they built it, and it was a showpiece. And so anyway, Nugent store on Cokie Road. Okay, this next store was one that I can't say I remember, and it was identified on the back by 2 different names. Oh, we got a call. Let's get this call. Hello, caller, you on the air?
All right, that grocery store right there that you're looking at, that was Nugent's grocery store. There's a very interesting story that goes with that place of business.
Okay.
Mr. and Ms. Nugent had a nice, successful neighborhood grocery store there, and over there across Cokie Road from that store, on the back side of Josh Bullock's Barbecue, there was a little bitty 2 gas pump service station, just big enough to have a little inside counter and this, that, and the other. And they started selling bread and cakes and this, that, and the other, stuff like you would see in a grocery store. And Mr. Nugent said, well, I can do the same thing in reverse order. So he got involved and started selling motor oil, transmission fluid, and anything associated with automotive needs. And he built a great big business there and run that other little place slam out of business after they started what would become a neighborhood war between groceries and car products.
How about that?
It happened.
He had a booming business. I know because he was one of our customers when I worked at Dave's Company Auto Parts, and we used to send a truckload of stuff over there on a regular basis. He did a very good business. He sure did. Okay, I appreciate that. Okay. All righty. So, O'Day's Grocery. On the back of this photograph right here, it was identified as O'Day's Grocery and then formerly Burnett's Grocery. Now, we showed a picture of last week of a Burnett's Grocery, and I don't know if it was the same Burnett's Grocery or not. I'm inclined to think it was not, because I remember comparing these 2 pictures when I saw what was written on the back of this one, and it did not look like the other business. Kind of hard to tell for sure, because sometimes buildings get remodeled, sometimes the facade gets changed, or they fancy it up or whatever. I don't think they were the same business, but on the back of this photograph of this building right here, it was identified as O'Day's Grocery, formerly Burnett's Grocery. And it looks to be, in 1988, when this picture was taken, I think the business was out of business. The store was out of business at this point. I don't know how long it had been out of business. And as I said, I don't recall either it being O'Day's or Burnett. I'm not even sure exactly where this was. Maybe somebody remembers where this business was, or O'Day's Grocery or Burnett's Grocery. It didn't ring a bell with me, and so anyway. Okay, this last one that we've got tonight, Lee, go ahead and bring the last one up. This, on the back of this photograph was written, Old Unknown Grocery Store, Highway 64 East. I believe this is out there between Rocky Mount and Tarboro. I think that building it may have recently been torn down, but it was there for many, many years. My brother and his wife and kids used to live out there not too far from this store, and I remember seeing it. I'm not sure it's still there now. Say again, Lee? Yeah, it was there for a long, long time, even after it had closed up. I don't have any information about it as far as the name of the store. Appears to be, we got a call, maybe someone recognized it. Hello, caller, you on the air?
All right, that little store building you're looking at right there is on the left-hand side of Tarboro Highway, used to be.
Right.
Right there where Kingsborough Road comes in and
That's
dead
right.
ends against Tarboro Highway, like you were going down there to the industrial park.
That's right.
That's where that location you're looking at right there.
Yep, you're exactly right. You remember what it was called?
No, Albert Brown's wife had a kind of little store in there that sold, I don't even remember what it was.
Was that Tater Brown?
Kind of like a not trading, but a flea market type store.
Yeah, was that Tater Brown? Was her name Tater Brown?
That is correct.
Yep, I knew her. I sure did. I knew her boys too, Grady.
Her real name was Mary Brown.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Yep, she did. There was something called a pack house out there across the road from this place, as I recall.
Yeah.
Yep.
That place across the street from that business was run by, for a long time, a man named Calvin Winston. He was a musician.
Uh-huh.
All right.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Okay. Folks, that's going to do it for us tonight. We've run slam out of time. Lee, bring it back to me. You know, we've got, like I said, I got a bunch more of these pictures, and not all of them are grocery stores. There's some pictures of businesses, just a lot of different types of businesses. So we're going to probably bring you, we're going to release that phone. There we go. I'll bring you probably a dozen or so of these over the next 2 or 3 weeks. We'll go through it's interesting to me to look at these old buildings, and some of them I remember, some of them I don't. But it's good to hear from you, those that do remember. I appreciate those that call in and share your memories with us each week. So keep on doing that. It makes my job easier. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for us. Have a great week. Take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other. And we'll see you next week with more Wayback Wednesday. Good night.